Our next guest, our first guest actually, had the enormous task of being deputy mayor in charge of sport, Olympic and Paralympic Games and the Seine, up to, during and post the Paris 2024 Games. He is a former rugby player, so no stranger at all to a tough endurance challenge. And I'm delighted to invite him up on stage with me now to share some of the insights gained from hosting the world's biggest sporting events, Pierre Rabadon. Oh, yes. So first of all, let me say congratulations on a great Games. I imagine most of the people here, like me, were glued to their television if they were not in Paris. I don't think I fed my children for weeks. And obviously, it's such a comprehensive adventure, it's not possible in the short time that we have to discuss it all. But do you have a particular favorite element or the thing you're most proud of?
Thank you for that question. Hello, everyone. I didn't see yet. Really happy to be in front of you after the games. We spoke a lot in the year before, preparing it with all my team. I want to thanks a lot for the help of organizing the biggest event in the world in our city, and we are, effectively now proud of what we've done. But maybe the best remain I can have now is the exchange of an emotional common feeling people have in Paris, in France in general, and at the international level. So I think we share something important in their life altogether, and actually really proud of that period. So on the sports time, for sure, I can remember the first opening ceremony outside of the stadium. For sure, you can see photographies on one of the Olympics and the other in the Paralympics. It was a massive bet, if I can say. Difficult on the organization side. But I think it's good starting when you succeed in. And the next point after was the beginning of sports success. We know that for having a popular support in the country where you organize that, you need to have quick medals. So I can tell you that as all rugby players, I am for sure one of them. My strong remind in the gold medal for French rugby team in the rugby 7 for sure. But my probably best memory could probably be the last session after in the Paralympic Games for the blind football in the front of the Eiffel Tower on the temporary stadium, where we get something really strong and hard in emotion, handing Olympics and Paralympics with quite success. And I will realize that it was the last time of my life I will live that. So it was one of the good memory. But then finally, our proudest things is to be able to bring all together in the same place, create and innovate on many things on those games, and be proud to just say, okay, it was a good time altogether.
Excellent. So not just one, but many excellent, great memories for life. And looking back on the journey from the bidding to the delivery of the games, what key messages would you pass on in terms of collaboration with IFs, organising committees and other partners, particularly managing with regards to the management of legacies and early stage planning?
Yeah, we spoke a lot about it yesterday, so I don't want to miss too long on the legacy side. But if I have advice to give with a lot of humility, because every stakeholder, every organization is different. As I told before, firstly, we try to keep the unity. That's between the stakeholders, and I want to underline that even with a lot of difficulties on the last 10 years, we had a really good work all together, and we have my colleague here from Saint-Saint-Denis, we try to work all together at the territory who has the problem best legacy heritage and heritage for those games just close to Paris. But we stand, and the mayor of Paris stand a vision to bring the strong legacy on this territory. We really need this transformation. So unity is the first things. We try to understand why we lose the bid before Paris 2024. So we put the sports in priority, sports representant, OCOG, and politics behind. Sometimes difficult with not agree between all the politics responsibilities, but we try to keep that during the 9 years of the organization. And probably, and I talked about that yesterday, the coordination and anticipation could be the two key words. We spoke about that with the next organizer here. I see the mayor of Brisbane. You always think that when it's far away, you have time to do it. But it's going so quick. And as soon as you can do something, just do it. Don't wait for the next step because it's coming really quick. And the last 2 years are just, you can feel anything. It's just passing and delivery. And that's probably the message I get here in the FIBA Center, where we had an exchange, but not enough as maybe as city we would like to have. There is so many things. Olympics is 32 World Championship in the same time, in the same country or city or area. And so you have many things to manage for delivering the event. So in before that and for after, you need to work on the legacy, on what you are able to make that animation in the city, in the territories, and before the events and probably after too. So I think we had a good level of performance for before the events, and now we are working for after. But it's another topic now. Maybe we need to anticipate more even that after the event, the capacity of keep going on the legacy side.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've mentioned venues, and Frank talked about Place de la Concordia, to la Concorde, excuse me. And obviously, we all know that Paris has some of the most spectacular and architectural and historical heritage in the world, and it was beautifully showcased to spectators, to visitors, and everybody that was there. There were venues there were Olympic events, there were other areas open to the public. How did the city of Paris think about the concept of a city celebrating the games and in all the districts of the city?
Yeah, we as I said just before, we try to innovate and create new things. So as you said, we use traditional venues and facilities of sports we had. We use the games to renovate some of them and to try to improve the capacity of welcoming teams and spectators. And after, we try to use our historical and patrimonial sites, and that's why we use the temporary venue. You can see some of them over there. Place de la Concorde for the urban park was just an amazing mix between the basketball and the other urban part, basketball X3, and the other urban park. And we got it in front of the Eiffel Tower, and even the road tour, if I can say, the races try to pass on the iconic venue. So that was a part of the concept, but maybe something we try to add a reflection during the bid already, but after it's harder to deliver. It's how you are able to manage people coming, and we have a ticket for 1 or 2 sessions, but we will stay after, because we know during this massive event, people stay and want to be involved in the Olympic and Paralympic spirit. And that's why we decided to realize like 26 sites in Paris, and Saint-Saint-Denis made many other seats for 2 things. Firstly, and you can see it, you can have some picture after, and you will have the map just after you. to firstly being able to propose different experiences. And that's why we try to put one in each arrondissement, like district in Paris. And everyone was different. Some of them were in the park, some others were in the sports facilities, some others was in front of the city hall. And we have a really important diversity, so we manage that, but everyone has a specific organization and programmation for sports demonstration or cultural demonstration. So that's why we had a massive diversity of that. But it was a bet. I have to confess. Because normally you have, I don't remember exactly, but between 3 and 6, 7 places in the whole city, and here we had 26. And a lot of people say, okay, you do that, but it's all killing you. Until just 3 days before starting the games, you will have nobody in because it will be, we are, as every time, difficulties with media on how will happen the games in Paris. But it was a key of success. And the second point was for people living there. Okay, when you organize massive events, you know that you cannot be able to give tickets to everyone, but you need to propose them to live a specific experience because they welcome it. Sometimes they have difficulties with it, with the organization, securities, and everything, and they need to feel to be part of it. And that's 26 points help us close to the house to have a specific experience of the Olympics, and they really feel it. And you have inside those points a kind of mixity between populations, young, old, poor, rich, foreigners, locals, and it was maybe one of our main success I can say today.
Amazing. What a challenge indeed. And talking about sort of venue capacities and sustainability, you mentioned a little bit there at the beginning, but you used many existing venues and put in temporary overlays to maintain sustainability. How did you meet the requirements of the international federations to increase capacity or upgrades or so on? And how did while following the plans for sustainability?
Well, I'm aware that I'm talking about that here in the FIBA. We have a lot of exchange about that just before games between the basketball situation. Not 3x3, but for the traditional one, if I can say. But that's something starting from the agenda of IOC 2020. Okay, so the concept of the games in Paris was to not building things that you are not sure to use after games. So we knew that we need some new arena, and some other venues that we renovate or created, but not so much as we need just after. The example is the Aquatic Center in Saint-Denis. It was a wonderful place now, and they need to have new swimming pool for many reasons. But okay, so all what we need, we are able to build it. But when we don't need that in this territory, we try to find solutions. And sometimes the International Federation, they had demands, and it's totally normal. But when you have 32 different demands, sometimes it's difficult to manage. But I think we find a solution, even with some temporary venue and or temporary organization is in the stadium. I think it was the case in the Lille, in the north of Paris, for the first week of basketball, and it was a big part of success. Even if I can understand when you come from outside of France and Paris, and we told you, okay, we have the games in Paris, but you will have to go 1 hour away from Paris in the football stadium. But we will manage that to create something incredible, and I think it was. And just the final second week was amazing inside Paris in the Bercy Arena. And I can see in your presentation that the esports version is exactly the same because USA beat France in the final. So I can see that so many difference, but even with the two lows we had in final, It's something was remarkable for those games. And so that was, if I can say, the work of the OCOG. They work a lot with the International Federation, all their demands for Olympic family, from players, from spectators. So it was big work. And I can say today we could be able to improve the relationships in those big events between cities and I saw you ask it in your presentation, between cities and organization, especially international federation. I can say on the Olympics and Paralympic Games, we had exchange, but with the OCOG in the middle, and sometimes we can do better things, not in legacy, but in animation. In the 26th place we had, I think we could have better relationship with the International Federation to do a better promotion of sports in that area. We do it locally with a local federation or French federation, but I think it could be something you can think about it in the international level.
Great. Now, we've talked a little bit about legacy, and I know you don't want to talk too much because you already have spoken about it, but one of the core objectives of Paris 2024 was to inspire more French citizens to adopt an active lifestyle and healthy lifestyle. To what extent do you expect the Games to result, or have you already seen an uptake in sports participation? And how did the international federations contribute to this?
At the level of the city, it's difficult to say because that's normal that the sports organization we work with the French Federation on that point. But I can tell you in basketball, but in general, after international sports event success, we know that we will have a new sports player, if I can say. So here in the basketball, we have 3x3 and traditional basketball 5x5. We increase around between 15 and 20% in general, sportsly, and especially in basketball, we are close to 25, I think. Actually, in France in general, but especially in Paris, where we have really big density of the city and difficulties to welcome everyone in every level. So we make the priority on the young person coming more than senior as we are now, but we try to anticipate it. We create a legacy program starting 2018, working on that preparation to, in case of success of the games, and especially when we have a French performance. It was the case in basketball, but it's the same in volleyball. It was the same in swimming and triathlon and table tennis too. So that's and volleyball. I said it already. So we have 5 or 6 sports where we have so many new participants, but not just in Paris, all around France, and that's why we need to work on the venue. Because that's the main key. If you want to be able, you need venue, you need coaches, you need people leading the clubs, extended the club, help to grow. So it's difficult to organize it before because you say, okay, we don't know exactly what will happen. If it's a success, okay, it could be something good, but if it's not, what will happen? We'll do that job for nothing. So, and especially in Paris, we have difficulties because we miss some equipment, facility, and venue, sports venue. So we try to find solution to build one up the other one, and working on the public space. It's another option we will have, and we do a wonderful work with the National Federation of Basketball on the 3x3 and the dedicated place of basketball in Paris. We renovate more than 80 playground in Paris with a specific artistic work on each one and unique one, and it's a part of the good things we made in before, but we know that the hardest is coming now to keep that person who wants to make small sport and find a club for their activities, and it's just starting, so we are aware of that.
Fantastic. And final question, and then I think we might have time for maybe one or two questions from the audience, depending on how long your answer is.
Yeah, I will be shorter. I understand the message.
And from your experience, how would you advise other cities hosting major sporting events to go into collaborations with IFs to not only deliver a successful event, but to plan for what we've been talking about, these long-term legacies?
Yeah, that's a hard question because for that you need anticipation and create relationships as soon as you know that you will have that event. So create a relationship is not just only exchange on the delivery of the events, but it's on the capacity to create condition in the territory where you will go, and starting before and for sure being strong around the event, but staying something after, because you have to understand, and I know here everybody has that in mind, but when you spend the public money on an event, the population we are representing had to feel something different between the starting of the event and the end of the events, not just the success of the events, but you don't have to justify, but you have to feel something different, especially on the sport. So the collaboration between, and I know it's difficult because you have many, and we saw on the presentation, many partnership, many cities and territorial relationship, but I think it's a key for the future to being able to make people understand why it's important to welcome those events, to promote sports practice, to develop business model and everything like that. But it's need to be useful for the territories. And on that point, I think it was a key success we had before the games. So I explain why we need to have the games, and we really use the games to accelerate our public policy transformation in Paris. For bike line, for example, for swimming in the Seine, for many things like that. We are not able to do it without the fact of getting the games and being able to organize it in 2024, not before, not after, but we plan public policy and we use that event, getting out of single plastic use for events, for example. That's another key point. And we just succeeding because we had the most and biggest event in the world, and that's why we are able to do it.